Listen, what I'm about to share with you could completely change your life if you really let it sink in. We're going to break down exactly how the wealthiest 1% manage their money, and more importantly, how you can start doing the exact same thing starting today.
It all boils down to this one really powerful idea. If you don't own anything, you are owned. This is the fundamental truth that creates the massive gap between the wealthy and everyone else. And honestly, it's the one thing most people completely miss.
Just take a look at this chart. You see who makes up the world's wealthiest people, right? Entrepreneurs, investors, a few heirs, and celebs. But look really closely at that last slice of the pie. The number of purely salaried employees? It's zero. Not a tiny fraction, a big, fat zero. So if a salary isn't the path to wealth, what is? Well, it's ownership. It's always been ownership. And that right there brings us to the core secret of the 1%. It's got nothing to do with how much you earn. It's all about what you own. So let's dive into how you can actually start owning things, even if you feel like you've got nothing left over at the end of the month. You ever feel like you're on a hamster wheel? You get your paycheck, the money comes in, and poof, it's gone. Paying bills, rent, groceries. By the end of the month, you're right back where you started, at zero. It forces you to grind even harder the next month just to stay afloat. It's a trap, a kind of modern slavery where we're so busy working and spending, we don't realize we're not getting ahead.
The way out of this trap isn't always about earning more money. I mean, that helps, but the real solution is changing how you manage the money you already have. It's about a simple framework that I personally use to build wealth from scratch, and it can absolutely work for you too. It's the 25-15-15-10 rule. Let's kick things off with the first, and honestly, the most important part of the rule. The first 25% of your income has to go towards growth. This is your freedom fund. This is the money that's going to start working for you, buying assets that grow in value. This is how you finally start to own things.
Now, you're probably thinking, I don't have enough to start. But the single most powerful tool you have isn't cash, it's time. Let me prove it with the story of two friends, Billy and Phil. Billy starts super early, at age 20, putting away just $200 a month. His friend Phil waits until he's 30, but he invests more, $300 a month, to try and catch up. Okay, let's fast forward a few decades. At age 60, Phil, our late starter who invested more money every single month, ends up with a pretty sweet nest egg of over $678,000. I mean, that's fantastic, right? A great result. But what about Billy? This is where the magic happens. Billy, who actually invested $12,000 less of his own money, ends up with over $1.2 million. That's nearly double what Phil has. Why? Simple. He gave his money 10 extra years to grow and compound. Delaying investing is literally the most expensive financial mistake you can make. So where do you actually put this money? Well, think of it like a ladder. You want to start on the safest rung at the bottom and work your way up. For almost everyone, the best place to start is with index funds. It's just a super simple, low-cost way to own a tiny piece of hundreds of the biggest companies all at once. Once you've got that solid foundation, then you can start looking at the other rungs. Getting started is way easier than you think. Seriously, it's just 3 steps. 1, choose your assets. Like we said, start simple with index funds. 2, open a tax-advantage account. This will save you thousands, even tens of thousands in taxes over your lifetime. And 3, the absolute most crucial step, automate it. Set up a transfer that pulls the money out the day you get paid. You'll invest it before you even have a chance to spend it. Okay, let's move on to the next piece of our rule. This part is all about building your financial fortress. The next 15% of your income is dedicated to stability. This isn't for making you rich. This is to protect you when life, inevitably happens. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. When I was 18, I bought this car I couldn't really afford. For about 3 months, I felt like the king of the world. And then the engine completely blew. I had 0 savings, nothing. I had to take out another loan just to fix the car so I wouldn't lose my job. That one stupid mistake set my finances back by over a year. It wasn't just my car that broke down. My finances did too.
That experience taught me a lesson I'll never forget. An emergency fund is non-negotiable. So here's exactly how you build one. First, figure out 5 months of your bare-bones survival expenses: rent, food, gas, utilities. Second, stick that money in a high-yield savings account where it's safe and easy to get. Never, ever in the stock market. And finally, build it fast. Automate that 15% transfer and throw any extra cash you find at it.
All right, now we're getting to the biggest chunk of your budget, but this is also where the biggest dangers are hiding. The next 50% of your income is for your needs. And let's be clear, this is the money that feeds you, not your ego.
You want to hear something crazy? 60% of people who make over $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck. That proves it's not about how much money you make. I had a buddy who always had the latest designer stuff, the fancy watch. Turns out he had less than $50 in his bank account. Wealth isn't what you show off, it's what you actually keep.
The whole trick here is to be brutally honest with yourself about what a need really is. Needs are the things that keep you alive and functioning. A roof over your head, food in the fridge, lights on, and a way to get to work. Wants are literally everything else. The daily Starbucks run, the 5 streaming services you barely use, the brand name clothes. This 50% rule forces you to get real about the difference.
You know, the wealthy don't just rely on willpower. That stuff runs out. They use systems. And here's a super simple one you can steal. Before you buy anything that's not a true essential, ask yourself 3 questions. First, is this an impulse? If the answer is yes, just wait 7 days. Second, am I buying this for the brand name or for the actual value it provides? And third, is this thing genuinely going to improve my life? This little pause can change everything.
Okay, we've covered growth, stability, and needs. But there is one last piece to this puzzle, and honestly, it might be the most important one for making sure you actually stick with this for the long haul. The final 10% of your income is for guilt-free joy.
Look, money is a tool. It's meant to improve your life, and if your financial plan is all work and no play, I promise you, you're gonna fail. The research on this is crystal clear. People who are way too restrictive with their savings almost always burn out and then go on a massive spending spree later. This 10% isn't an excuse to be reckless, it's a strategy to keep you in the game. It's a planned pressure release valve.
But to get the biggest happiness bang for your buck from this joy fund, you want to be strategic. Don't just spend it on more stuff that will clutter up your house. Spend it on experiences, like a trip you'll never forget. Invest in a hobby that makes you feel alive. Spend it on meals with friends and family, or on buying a really meaningful gift for someone you care about. These are the things that create real, lasting happiness.
So there you have it, the complete 25, 15, 50, 10 rule. It's a simple, powerful framework to finally shift from being owned by your job to owning your own future. And really, it all comes down to one simple question. Your money can work for you, or you can work for it. Which one are you going to choose?